We are ready. There we go. Okay, perfect. I thought that I'd go outside today because it's really a pretty, really pretty day in December. Kind of odd though because like our conversations before, the weather is so warm. It's like usually not like this in December. How about out there?
We have not had snow yet. Like we had our first flakes. I saw maybe, I don't know, a dozen of them, and then they stopped falling and haven't had any since. It's really weird. We usually have snow by like Halloween, so this is weird.
Right? And I find it to be just this year in particular. I know it's been building up, but this year is even extra, right?
Yes. Sorry. As soon
Yeah.
as we hit live, my dogs are like, "Hey, we want to be in it." Like,
I was
lovely.
gonna say they feel the vibrations. I was gonna say hi guys. They're saying like hello. This is their debut. I love it myself. It's like what's up guys? Hi. I seriously, my cat does the same thing. I talk to people all the time where like I'll start to film even for a video, and then here it comes, and he knows he'll try to step on the keyboard to turn it off. And he has been known to all of COVID. I swear he knew where the plug was for the cable TV and the Wi-Fi. He would go and he would go like this with his teeth. I swear, this cat's like their animals are becoming more in tune, and if you pay attention, anyway. Okay, Brittany and Shanny's sipping spiritual tea, we're just gonna chat, and I wanted to just honor you and say that I put on your donation thing. I really feel appreciative for what you do. If I lost you, I'll just talk because I feel like you put
I'm
so much
just picking up my
energy.
dog.
Okay, you just put so much energy and love, and energy is emphasized with what you do for justice takes flight, and I just feel that it is something that is a good thing, that a case, I guess, let me know that a case is closed, but the gentleman was passed away. So I just wanted to say I appreciate everything you do, and that must vibrationally affect you when that happens. But also, I'm sure closure, I don't know the scenario, but closure for people who were looking also comes, so I hope that makes you, of course it makes you feel complete. But I just want to say that must be heavy on your heart, or just let me know, how are you feeling about that whole thing?
It's been heavy the last couple of days. Um, to kind of explain what happened, um, there was a family that reached out to us. They were from out of state, and they had a loved one that was missing here in Colorado. And he had been missing for 6 days by the time we got involved. He was suicidal and had already,
Mm,
the night that he went missing, sent a suicide note. So we were worried um, what was the end result going to be. Um, so the family complained that the cops weren't doing a whole lot um, over Thanksgiving and then the weekend. I don't think the cops did a whole lot. And then I don't think they had any search dogs out or anything. They just had one detective working it like a missing persons case, um, which is kind of upsetting to me. I don't think it should have been handled that way at all. Um, but so we got involved in day 6, and within hours, I had the dog team out there, and we had a scent, and the dog headed towards the water. So we were trying to get the cops involved to maybe look at the water, and we were getting ready to go out a second time, and they ended up finding the gentleman before
okay.
we went out the
In the
second time.
water? Was it
No,
in the water?
actually, he had hung himself.
Oh
Um,
man.
so, and I'm not sure exactly where he did. I don't know if it was by the water, but when somebody is, uh, it's called a fear scent that you give off. And
Oh, okay.
if you're
The
panicking or if you're
pheromone, right?
going through
The fear
something like
pheromone.
that, yeah. If you're getting ready to end your life, or that's something so traumatic, you're going to give off that fear scent, and that fear scent, water holds that smell a lot better. So
Wow.
it probably traveled to the water and kind of held that. So that's probably why. And we probably would have found him the second time, had he not been found before we got out there. But the
Mm,
family said that nobody really started paying attention or even started looking until we got involved. So,
So sad.
yeah.
That is so sad on many fronts. And you know what? Before I comment, I wanted to say I've been reading so many books over the last 2 years in particular about water holding memory. And it fascinates me. It holds, apparently, I just learned from you, the fear pheromone scent that a dog is able to track. That amazes me. And shout out to the dogs and your team for getting so quickly into that. And I wondered, it's sad, of course, the situation, and shout out because of, your heart space and the way that you are, urge to help people out of that place of being suicidal. So that must have been a little bit extra heavy. I wanted to shout that out. But also, it's just indicative of, all of our conversations, you and I, and what I've kind of noticed in, I don't know, my community and things. It seems like even when you have a 16-year-old or anybody who you know in your heart and you plead sometimes to law enforcement that that they are, out there and are potentially, of course, if they gave a suicide note, that's, I think it should be, put the pedal to the metal to try to, really do everything you can to get to the bottom of it. And that just makes me sad, because I think it's a common thing for, maybe they throw up their hands because they see so many cases. I'm trying to be humble. I don't know why, but I'm sorry that they didn't, get a little bit more involved. And I feel that that's unfortunately common. Do you find that that happens many times in whatever circumstances that you find these people that you're trying to look for are?
Unfortunately, yeah. This isn't the first case that was like that.
Yeah.
This is like the third. I'd say we have one every 6 months ish.
Okay.
So,
how do you get the word out? How do you get the word out? Not of the missing person, but how do you get the word out? As mainly Facebook, as far as what you do and how you can help people. Do most of the people that need help contact you through Facebook?
So, I actually, up until recently, I was finding the people.
Okay.
I would
That's
go
awesome.
on to like the Facebook groups missing persons in Colorado, or I would just find the post that had a missing person. And if they were in Colorado, I would just message them saying, hey, I'm so and so, Brittany with Justice Takes Flight. We're a nonprofit. Would you like help? And then
awesome.
usually they take our help. But recently, I've actually had people reaching out to us for help. So they're finding us either by word or maybe by Facebook. I'm not sure. We don't have a web page yet. I would like to get a web page going. But yeah, we're
Cool.
trying to
That's
fix that.
awesome. No, that's cool. That's amazing. And I think that that is all about what your calling is I do the same thing. Like, reaching out to you has been an amazing blessing and more. And so I think that that's awesome that you do that. And, I want to say, just to back you up and give you some, like, it's okay. Yes, for sure. Goals, put your website out there. But I think Facebook is so omnipopular. As you know, there's so much word of mouth that happens through there. There's circulating. I mean, that's beautiful. I wanted to know if the law enforcement agencies ever advocate for you or let you put, I don't know, something up on their board. Do they ever use you as an extra resource? Because I assume you deal with the same police department, like the Denver, or no, different because it's different sub-cities around?
It's usually different because it's different around. We've done with, like, this last case was Lakewood. We've dealt with Lakewood a couple of times. We've dealt with, multiple counties a couple of times. You run into, it's one or the other. You either get the cop who says, yeah, I think what you do is awesome. I'm going to hold on to your info and pass it on. Or you get the cop who doesn't like you, doesn't like what you're doing. And it's because I think maybe they fear we're trying to take their job away, or
I was just going to say, the power and control. Like, oh, I don't want you to get the accolades. I don't want you to get the power of actually doing something nice, because they think about it in that frame of mind. You're exactly right, right?
Yeah, I don't really know what the problem is. When I first started this, I thought it would be everybody on board. Everybody would want to help everybody. And it would be, every team would work together, and it would be just this united front. And it's not at all. Even different search groups. Just today, I have a search group talking about me on Facebook. So
Girl, I was just gonna say, girl, you know what is interesting about us empaths? That seems to have happened to me, at least in every facet, even beginning Healing Elements. I thought, even if somebody is into tarot or massage and I'm a novice and they're an expert, they're gonna be like, yay, we're all for the same team, right? And we're all gonna help each other. Oh my gosh, no. And I assumed that people in the astrology community would be like about one love, positive vibrations. Like, no way. You find out the hard way, unfortunately, that in every sector, I think even in politics, in a doctor's office, wherever you go, you're going to find that it's a person and they can be loving the same thing as you, but they're not going to be as enthusiastic or empathetic or concerned or wishing you well. Does that make sense?
yeah. Well, and then you have some of them that are out just for their own word, their own
100%.
15 minutes of fame, and they do awful things. There's
Yes, to be the center of attention, and then they shade on other people like you or I or whoever because they want that spotlight, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's so true.
Exactly.
It's a shame when it comes to really, and it happens in every sector, even other sectors that are life and death critical situations. It's like, look at what it's affecting. It's affecting people being found, but it is so true, that vibration of ego, you know what I'm saying? Of one power and control, like, I don't need anyone to help me. And it's like, I love when, and I'm glad you said that some of them are welcoming and be like, yes, go, please, all the help that you can give. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting world out there. I cannot see my phone because there's a glare. I think someone commented. I don't know, unless that was you in the chat. But if you can see anything over there, you can comment because it's glared from the sun. I don't know.
There are always haters.
Mm-hmm. There are
Yeah.
always haters, and you know what? And I even found, I just mentioned this to somebody on the text message today. I found that there are even haters that work within the fabric of the special education department in at least the district I worked in California. There were people who I said, why would you ever have gone to school and been a head of a lead of the whole special education department, or teachers in particular that are teaching these very in need students. And it just baffled me that there were women and men, people alike, that were haters, and not just toward me, but their attitude was just like that, whole experience with the person who would tell you no and oppose and give you those vibes of get out of here. It's so crazy because they would even give it to, for sure, the students, and just belittle, condescend, really just then turn around and take credit for other teachers' work or what students did, maybe make up, fluff what the students had accomplished so that they can rise to the top. And I just thought it kind of was depressing after a while. I was saying this to someone on the text, that the vibrations can affect you of like, oh man, I'm doing this for the right reason, but the haters seem to be in such important roles everywhere. And I think that's what our mission is right now, of no matter how insignificant I am in some community or whatnot, is getting the voice out. Like, you don't have to be like that no matter what position you're in,
Yeah, for sure. I
It's a
mean,
shame. And I was
it's
just going to say about what you shared with me about, I believe he was autistic, the teenager who took his life. There's so much of that in the special needs community. We are souls on this planet, all alike. And so, not that the gentleman who just was found was special needs, but whatever is in people's heart that gets them to that point, I have so much sympathy to, and I don't feel like it should be a stigma. Even if my channel does get shadow banned because I talk on it or talked on it a while back, it's so important to do. And so it just makes me so sad that there's people in position of power and the special needs and everywhere else that don't act as, I guess, urgent as you do. And I think that it's so imperative and important. So, blessings to that soul who did that transmission to cross over, because it must have been painful, of course, what he was dealing with on this earth.
well, and I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but it takes, oh, it was our dog handler. That's what it was. It, it's, it takes a lot to get to that point.
Oh,
It's not
yes.
somebody who is weak. And
100%.
to think that it's a weak person to take their life, that's just the total opposite of it. They've lived with it for so long. They've held on to it for so long. To get to that point, it's something else.
Desperation. Yes,
Yeah.
it's desperation. And I feel that there's a lot of, and I'm not trying to, but today's a real, I think, reflective day. So I will say it. I don't, dishonor people who lose someone to suicide and then go about with this attitude, I'll tell you. But I feel like it can be so much help if they could just find something to turn it around. These people who think that it was a deficit, a flaw, a wrongdoing, a negative it's a negative because they're without those people. But I mean, as far as, like you said, something that is, to be scolded or scoffed at, or, that was a deficit. They had everything to live for. They focus on that kind of thing, where I'm sure that person knew all of that, but they were so desperate to not feel what they feel inside. And no way am I advocating for it, but people that are in the spotlight and have millions of dollars, like Robin Williams, succumbed to suicide. And so I feel as if it's so important to talk about, no matter what our financial or social or whatever status is. When we are at that point, we have had to be either hiding and holding something for so long, or feeling this and feeling like it's a stigma to reach out, because that, not only is suicide a stigma, but it's an oxymoron. Then the reaching out for help and saying that we are at a loss with our emotions and we are so desperate can also be scoffed at in some communities. Most, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I love
Right.
that, we're trying to spread the vibe. That's why I love, you should shout out the thing you do, or the communication you do with the groups. I love that when you send me the screenshot and it says that you're talking to somebody who is feeling that desperation, and you're letting them know hope, that this is serious, and you totally have been there and you know what they're feeling, but that, there's hope. So if you want to shout that out, I think it's just a beautiful recommendation. And I know I'm slow, but my mom and I always say, Mom, you got to get on the Facebook. I got to start using that Facebook I created, because I think that can provide so much validation to people.
Well, so there's a couple of groups that I'm in. There's like the grief support groups for murdered victims, um, families, and then there's grief support for people who have lost loved ones to suicide, and then there's grief support for um, like losing parents, and then I'm in just random groups for near death experience. And I've just had a couple of people message me. We've been talking, or somebody will be upset and message me about suicide or something, and we'll just talk. And then I get a message saying that I somehow saved their life because they were going to do an act, and me talking to them really helped. So I think just being there for people. And I'm glad that you brought up the Robin Williams thing, because I think that's a very good way to explain. I think he had a purpose in life, and his purpose was not to commit suicide or anything. But I think since he took that option, I think that became his purpose.
To
And
show
I,
people, right, that there's
yes,
no there's no getting out of it, no matter where you live and who you are. He was such a person that brings joy to people, but yet he still felt that, right?
exactly. And I think I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure his family has done a lot of suicide prevention stuff.
I think
Um,
so.
and I think that's, I think that's the key. I think if your loved one is taken by a tragedy that you didn't expect, or if somebody commits suicide and that wasn't their main purpose on life, um, I think it's our job to react to it. And it's that
Absolutely.
reaction that is what counts. And we can sit
Absolutely.
there and we can blame the victim, the person that committed suicide, or the person who is dead. Why aren't they here? Why did they speed? Why did they text? Why did they do this? Or you can prevent others from going through it.
Beautifully
Um,
said.
and I think that's how you can find purpose in life, through
100%.
horrible stuff.
So true. It's like that's my, story, and it seems to be your story, and it's all in a different way when we go through these tragedies. If we're able to somehow, whatever time period that is for us, break through and to try to say our story and testify, so other people perhaps closely to that point, whatever it may be, can get more understanding and love and, change the course of what they would do. Amen. And I think that's so true about Robin Williams' family. I also believe that my daughter is a big follower of that. And I believe that they not only are doing research and prevention for suicide, I think they also, I don't know if they donated his brain organs, but they found out that there was something also that was indicative of the brain, our computer hard drive, that we do channel things through our emotions and everything else, our experience. So I think that they did find out some interesting biological connection as well. And they're also doing every facet. I don't know the details, so I don't want to speak on something I'm not sure of, but I feel that that is, and so is this gentleman. I'm trying to remember his name. He went around and traveled, and he was tasting. He's on the Food Network show, and I loved him. Oh
Anthony
gosh.
Bourdain.
Yes, thank you, Anthony Bourdain. And interestingly enough, since I'm into astrology and I do astrology, they're both Cancer sun signs, and I'm a Pisces, a water sign. So I feel like that, everything I feel is a facet that goes into playing, biological, also spiritual, and for me, sometimes astrological. I find that they were such sympathetic empaths and all that. I think that that is also a lesson, because he had, obviously the funds, he was in a great position. I knew him, and Anthony Bourdain, yes, rest in peace to the both of them. But I feel like that right there, these scenarios over and over, that can teach us, no matter, how the outside world really truly is reflecting on us. Sometimes we can see the opposite, or whatever. We can get to, like you said, for lack of better words, that desperate pivotal point in which you allow yourself to do that. And I feel like there is a lot of energy wasted with blame in so many areas, but especially this, because if we could take that energy and, like you said, transform into what led up to that, was there obviously a lack of comfortability for people to feel comfortable reaching out to talk about their desperate, especially probably in a position like that, where you, I guess, are supposed to be a role model or whatever, what people put on, which I think is idiotic, on celebrities. Like, they need to be these perfect people. It's like they're human beings, and that must be so much pressure, right? And we judge everything they do based on some Kardashian show or whatever. It's just such bullshit, because they're just human beings. So I think, that there's many examples, probably I'm forgetting, of people in the limelight that take their lives. And I'm assuming in different factors, maybe if you're into a right-wing religious group, maybe it doesn't look so, I've heard of religious groups that when you go to them and talk to them about this problem, they would say, oh, pray, hush up. And I also saw Meghan Markle go on the Oprah show a few months or a year back, whatever, and talk about how it was like that. She came to them and said she was suicidal, to the royal family, and they're so big on their impressions and their image and reputation, they wouldn't give her help when she asked to reach out. And that's why I guess they separated themselves and moved to America. I was mind blown. So it doesn't matter what status you are or where you are coming from. I feel like you right now, with what you do, definitely with your testimony on your near-death experience and everything else you're bringing to other people, that, look, we have to talk about it. This whole YouTube thing blocking my video for the suicide, it's just crazy, because if you're trying to prevent things that are horrible, what in the world? You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right.
shout out to people in every position possible that get desperate and feel that, because
There's
it's
a
not fun and it
chat
hurts.
in here, and it
And so that's why I
says,
said, what does it say?
I
Because
had a
remember I said I have a
customer
glare.
I had a customer buy a helium tank for me at work to use it for suicide. Even though I didn't know the man, it affected me and my coworker who was with me.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Shout out. And I definitely agree with your feeling as far as connection, and it's not any fault. So I hope there's no blame with that. And I'm sure, Brittany, you can speak on that too. I just feel like if you are in touch with the whole vibration that we have, that makes, in my opinion, everything coexist love, then you're definitely going to feel that. And I'm sorry that that person felt, the desperation that people do.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely wasn't anybody's fault, not even that person's. And that, um, yeah, it's
Scenario, yeah, that's hard. I
it's
wonder, I
just
mean,
awful.
I don't want to ask or no, but I guess you can do that deed in any way possible. I don't know how you could do that with helium tank, but who knows? You know what I mean? There's so much unfortunate stuff on the internet on like how to make bombs and all kind of crazy, dangerous stuff. I'm sure there's, unfortunately, some sort of anarchist cookbook list on how you can do that, which is a bummer. But if that's the way people want to take their energy, I will do the opposite, and get
Right.
good vibes out there to prevent it. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. Yeah, I saw, I think, like 3 or 4. It's my my camera is a glare, so all I can see is little blips, but it'll change. It'll go blink. So I think there's like 3. I said earlier, if you can hear if you can see anything that's positive on the chat, I'm sorry guys, I can't read it, but I love you. I appreciate you viewing, and if you want to read them, you can. I'm like set up here in the park, but it's
I got
nice.
you covered, girl.
Mm-hmm. All the time, all the time. That's so cute that when we get on, the animal babies are like, hello.
I know, and now
That was
he's
so
just
cute.
chewing the bed. So I'm not going to stop him because he's quiet, but he shouldn't be chewing the bed.
That's so funny. If I was home, Mochi would be doing something. Sometimes when I close the door and he's not in there for the call, he'll like do that little thing. He doesn't like really, mess with it, like not damage, but he'll scratch like a dog on the door. It's so funny. I'm
Yeah.
like, you had got to be a dog in your past life. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a heavy subject, but I think it affects so many. And that's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to tell you there is the girl. She's so cool. She goes by All She Knows on YouTube and Bermuda on Instagram. Oh, that's right. I don't think you have it, but Jessica is her name. The one I did the interview. She asked if me and anyone else that would be interested and could speak on depression. She wants to do something, and I think it's beautiful I can definitely talk about that. And yeah, I wanted to say I will send you the little I don't think she made a link, but she proposed like a date and time, and I think that you would have so much input and great stuff, and it just feels good to vibe with people, because like I said, I was isolating for so long, just doing this whole spiritual thing and my calling on my own. So yeah, I think it's great to speak on that stuff about how people, and there's so many, especially because of the COVID. I know my teenager, the one who Marcus had never dealt with anxiety or depression. He denies that it was called depression, but man, during the COVID, when he was having to go to senior year and knowing he had to cancel both proms at this point, the last semester of senior year, it just got real tough. He was like, knowing he wasn't going to go back, knowing there wasn't going to be a big hoopla graduation thing, and he was very social. And so I would notice that he was sleeping longer. He was, intervals of showers were becoming much long, everything that if you've been there, you recognize. So I was like, buddy, so it's like if someone that I saw completely always bounce back with no problem, I think better than anyone else in the fam had a problem with that. It's like, it's more important now than ever to talk about any kind of mental health changes that we experienced for the last, what is this, 2 years almost in March, It's so crazy.
I'm not afraid to say it. I see 2 counselors and a psychiatrist.
Yep. Same with me. And it's a shame that I did not, up until 2018, I would speak on that. And I even went to a class that was a dual diagnosis for my, addiction issues with the alcohol. And also it was psychotherapy dual diagnosis. So I went for 3 months outpatient, came in. It taught me so much. And it is great. Any kind of therapy, whether it's psychological, I want to shout that out, or physical, like exercise or whatever, or especially spiritual connections with people, and not being afraid to express yourself, and having acceptance and understanding, even if you are not in that place. That is pivotal. So reaching out for help, I just was blown away, because I interviewed Riley, the one on my channel. I'll send you the link. She is my youngest daughter, 16's best friend since they were 4. And even though she's 2 hours away, we always keep in contact. And so she said, yes, I would love to do an interview. I saw your channel thing. So interviewing her, I couldn't believe that she let me know, because she's like Captain the cheerleader. I mean, she's just really, really assertive. And she said that she got depressed for the first time last year and reached out for help. And I thought that was so monumental to hear a young, beautiful spirit say, I reached out for help, and on a public live forum like this. So I think it's encouraging, empowering people. Maybe she had someone over the years that inspired her. Maybe it's just because she has great parents and peers. But in any case, it's so important to, I think, not be hush hush about it. So I commend all the people, like we were talking about, in the roles like celebrity or whatnot, that people look at, like sports people that actually put their word out. Like Steph Curry, my birthday buddy, I think I saw that he has advocacy for mental health stigma type of group, and like, bringing it outward. So I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really cool.
I'm trying to figure out, how do you flip the camera? Can you in here?
I don't know. I'm on my phone and I have to get it to see. I can see. Let me see.
Here,
Whoops.
I'll just
I knew I would mess it up.
The natural way. Can you see him?
Let me see. Hold on. Let me put the glare over. Yep, I see him.
He's stuffing the bed.
That is so freaking cute and funny. Were you able to flip it, or did you just flip the camera around?
I just moved the camera around like that.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't see because of the glare, but then now I did. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. That is so funny. It's like I think that there could be like 5 of our chats to talk about how animals are so much smarter and in tune than a lot of people give credit to. I mean, a lot of people do, which is awesome. But you know what I mean? A lot of people just literally treat them as object or whatever, you know, even if they're nice to them. I just find so much resonance with you when you show me their little behaviors and stuff. It's so
Well,
funny.
and just the fact that they can work. I mean, like for tracking, they can track both live scent and cadaver scent and fear scent, and
Yes.
they can smell through 30 feet of concrete and,
Really?
yep, and through water. Yeah.
Which is amazing because it doesn't, not supposed to take off the scent, right? Generally speaking, scientifically. So I think that's
Well,
amazing.
that's what like the movies and stuff want you to,
Yeah,
like you see in the movies where they get in the water and then they walk off. But in actuality, if it's raining or snowing, it actually helps because the moistures hold more of those molecules and it pushes it back. When they breathe it in, the water makes it go back in their nose further.
that's beautiful. I love that you said that. And like I said, with those books, it's fascinating me where scientific research is blending with spirituality about water holding memory. And that is totally scientific, what you just said about that. And that's beautiful. And yes, isn't that sad? We're yet another programming where we're taught over and over in CSI or crime investigation TV. We're taught that yep, the bloodhound goes in the river up, the scent's gone. You know what I mean? So that's amazing. 30 feet of concrete. And didn't
Yeah.
you say last time how many days the scent stays when someone's alive, like for a long time, right?
Yeah. So alive is different. Alive is maybe a couple weeks, or it depends. If there's fear scent there, it's a lot longer. Especially if it's a big fear scent, like this man with the suicide thing. His fear scent might be there for years. But
Wow.
like if
Wow.
it's a cadaver smell, the longest he's done is 29 years. He solved a 29-year-old case using
That's right.
cadaver.
I knew it
So
was years, but that is fascinating and unbelievable that everything, you know, people think things are so disposable. And once you get rid of it, even the environment, like I feel guilty because I'm with the plastic, you know, thing. It's like things are gone, but no, things stay, you know, energetically or scent, same thing, you know, for so long. So that's amazing. And so was it the dogs that actually found, or was it people that had found the gentleman this week? It was this week, right? Like a Monday, or was it last week? I'm so lost.
it was just 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
I don't know who actually found him. I think it was the park rangers, or maybe
Okay.
it was somebody walking by that found him. I'm surprised, and I really hope the family doesn't hear this, but I'm surprised him being there for 6 days hanging. I mean, I'm surprised he
Someone
wasn't
didn't
found
find him or
a
what?
lot earlier.
Yeah. Is
You
it
know
a
what I
popular
mean?
area or? Yeah, I do. Is it like
It
a
was at
state
a
park that's
lake.
rural or?
It was at a lake in the middle of a populated like metro area, but I think the lake had some good trees in it, and so I think he was able to find a spot. But yeah,
Yeah. My gosh. Well, many blessings to the family because as you know, it's like when we grieve that cycle, you know, that period. I was hearing someone really cool. It's I'm gonna shout it out. They were on you interviewed on Peggy Robinson's channel before, right? Can you hear me? Did I go
yeah.
did I go off? Okay. Did you interview on Peggy Robinson's channel, or you said you know her, right? Of her?
I interviewed on hers.
Okay, so I've been watching her for a long time, and so I was watching a guest on there, and he had so much wisdom. It's called Grief. He said his website, and I'm yet to check it out. I think it was yesterday, day before. Grief to the number two, grow, grief to grow, and it was after his daughter. He got inspired after she died suddenly of an undiagnosed, I think, heart condition at 15, and so he was speaking about how there is such a process for sure, and of course, everybody has different experiences with the process, but there's a process of grief, and the thing to let people know, and it is hard to explain because you're trying to say it gets better, but it's still the same. You know what I mean? You try to explain to people that it is, the energy is taken onto a different course. You're able to break it apart and do things, I feel, that are inspirational or that are honorable. You do still feel at times that same, you know, crushing heartbreak of losing that person. But it, you know, as you accept maybe too, signs, and you accept the reality, whatever it is for you, I think that it's not to say things are going to be the same, but I do want to give people hope that lose somebody, that it does change. Because I know, I mean, really, sometimes if you're in my condition, when I lost my dad, it truly seems like, you know, I was dragging my feet going, life is never going to be the same. I can't do that. You know, you really sometimes, and that's okay because it hurts so much. But the thing is you can, with help and with, you know, just time. And so he spoke on that. This gentleman, I can't remember his name, but his website is Grief to Grow. And I guess he does interviews of people to inspire, that his calling is, which I find that, you know, not in a big way like Jeff Mara or something, but I think that that's my calling too, is just to have people express their storytelling and testify in order to help others. And so he does that. He said he was inspired after she passed to interview near-death experiencers, and he's able to channel and stuff. He became, like, he took school, mystical school, and mediumship. And so Grief to Grow, if anyone here is even in the least bit, even the person who commented about the helium, and feeling that we all are connected. And so if any way you're feeling even a tad bit of grief or remorse or anything like that, I think that that would be good to check out different people. But in you know, in all senses, he was a very well-spoken, passive, very kind person. And I thought, wow, you're helping a bunch of people. So it's neat how you get to hear different people and you connect that way over YouTube. There's so much haters, like you said, on every circuit of the world, including social media. But it's neat when we're able to pull it up and be like, hey, Team Dark, we have it going on over here too, as far as sharing love, you know what I mean? And ignoring
Right.
as much as we can, that kind of shit. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to go back to what you were saying about the search groups, and there's just hate in place and selfishness and some ill behavior and negative vibrations in every sector of the world, you know?
Yep.
All right, doll, I guess since my phone is dwindling down, I will call this a beautiful and wonderful talk. I enjoyed every single thing that you said, as usual. I think
I
that
know.
it's
I
so,
just love our chats.
I do too. It's like just really truly like the highlight. It's beautiful energy, and I just resonate so much with you. And I love that you're not afraid. You're like so bold, and that gives me encouragement to be my true self, which is not afraid to help people and to talk about our experiences that potentially would help each other. You know what I mean? Help people and each other. And I think it's beautiful. So I will let you go, Mama. Give the animal babies love, and I will try to look at the comments. I don't know if you can see after. I think you can. And then when
Yeah,
it's not a glare, and then I'll say something to the people. But I appreciate everybody, and if this helped or humored you, true, in any way, I'm always like, whatever people can get positivity out of, you know.
for sure.
All right, okay. Until next time, sweetie, and I'll send you the information about being on Jessica's channel. So I think that's perfect. Okay.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
sweet love. You have a good day.
You too.